All right, we are on. Hey guys, Dr. Jason. I was driving to work today, and the thought hit me of, what if I wanted to weaken your immune response? If you wanted to weaken somebody's immune response, what would you do? How would you do it? How would you go about it? If you wanted somebody to be sick, if you wanted somebody's immune response to not be strong, how would you go about doing that? Have you ever thought about that? I know it's kind of maybe that's a twisted question. I don't know, but that's my mind, I guess. So how would you go about doing it? And so, the first thing I was thinking about it, and the first thing that I would do is I would change the foods that you could eat. I wouldn't give you healthy organic foods. I would give you a lot of sugar and breads and pastas and sodas and desserts and pastries. All the gluten, all the wheat, all the dairy, all the sugar. Basically just, tank your immune system with what you're eating, drive you towards being a type 2 diabetic, because that's going to affect your immune system and it's not going to give your body the building blocks and the things that it needs to be healthy. So that's the first thing I would probably do if I wanted to weaken your immune response, is make sure you're eating crap, which is basically the standard American diet, right? The second thing that I would do is I would make sure that I disinfected everything. Your immune response, your immune system is kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And so if I could disinfect everything so that way you're never exposed to anything, then you never get to flex your muscle. You never get to strengthen that. You never get to build that. You never get to use that. So if everything was disinfected, that would definitely weaken your immune response. Third thing I would probably do is I would isolate you. I would isolate everybody, because we're social beings and we need that interaction. We need that connection for our emotional well-being. And so if I can have you emotionally stressed out, and I could have you to where you couldn't connect with people and you couldn't have that interaction, and we could kind of mess up the neurotransmitters in your brain and increase the cortisol or the stress hormones, because especially in women, the stress hormones are tied into their female hormones. And so if we could tank those hormones, that would affect how your immune response would be. So isolating everybody would be a great idea if I wanted to weaken immune responses. And then I guess finally the last thing I would do, if I just wanted to put the icing on the sugary cake, so to say, is I'd come up with a vaccine. And you may think, what does a vaccine have to do with that? Well, it works like this. So if you think about your immune response, you've got your barriers, right? You've got your skin and your mucosal linings. And so there's a couple layers that your body has that when it comes into contact with a bacteria or a virus or parasite or whatever, that it recognizes this isn't part of us. And so it starts that whole immune response. And the whole goal of all of that is to prevent it from getting into your bloodstream or getting into your cells. And so if it gets into the bloodstream, it's already made it past the first couple barriers. And so, red alarms go off, or it's a big thing. And so it causes this immediate reaction. But so that's kind of what a vaccine does, right? If you think about a vaccine, you bypass those first couple barriers, it goes straight into the bloodstream. So your body's got to do this response. And so it's kind of a weakened response, because it didn't get a chance to do those other two things to build it like it would normally build it. And so it's kind of a fake response. We're kind of manipulating a response. And so that would affect your immune system as well. So those are the things I would kind of do if I wanted to weaken your immune system. Does any of that sound familiar? Isn't that exactly what we're trying to do to prevent a pandemic and to prevent the disease and people dying and all these other kind of things? It's crazy. It's ridiculous, right? We've disinfected everything. We've isolated everybody. I don't know what you're eating. I mean, they can't control that, but most people, they're locked up. They're probably not eating great. And we're waiting on a vaccine to be our savior, that's when we can all come out and be safe. And it's just, that's craziness. It makes no sense to me. And that's my viewpoint on it. And hey, if you are of similar mind, if that makes sense to you, if you think this whole thing is how we're going about this, there's something not right and it doesn't make sense, you need to be on our webinar tonight. We have a free webinar. It's called The Approach to Inflammation. It's kind of the wellness way approach to restoring health. And again, we look at things different, and medicine is always about manipulation. Medicine wants to manipulate your blood pressure. Medicine wants to manipulate cholesterol levels. It wants to manipulate these things. It wants to give you vaccines and manipulate your immune system. And it's not always about manipulation. It's about restoring health. And so if you want to learn more about restoring health, I'd love to have you guys join me tonight. So I put the link in here. It should be there. The other thing is, we do these webinars often. And so be sure and like and follow our Liberty Chiropractic page. We've got a bunch of other great seminars coming up. I've got one on the thyroid that will be next week. I want to help teach and educate you guys, because that's really what it's all about. And so, hey, if you are on this video, comment to me. Just tell me where you are, because I know I've got people all over the country that have followed this and see this. But be sure and like and share and follow this, and give me a comment as far as where you are. Sorry, there we go. And then the other thing is, make sure. I just got a call in the middle of it. I lost my train of thought. So make sure you connect with us. Really important. The follow-up. So I just talked about how I would weaken your immune response. So the next thing I want you to know, in the next video, I'll do how I would strengthen your immune response. So if you want to know that, be sure to stay connected. Be sure and follow us. I appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you soon.